just fucking went through this. Oh my God. This is just ridiculous. I can't.
Conservation Commission meeting for September 26, 2024. We as a commission operate under the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 26 of the Town of Danvers General Bylaws, the Wetlands Protection Bylaw. After each applicant presents his or her request and the board has had time to ask questions and discuss the project, we will accept questions from the audience. Because this is a public meeting, it is required by law that you give your name and address before you speak. Although we may disagree on issues raised, all persons present during this meeting are expected to be civil to all other meeting attendees. This includes the members of the commission, staff, abutters, concerned citizens, property owners, and project applicants. We also request that you confine your questions to the project at hand and only as it pertains to the Wetlands Act. We cannot handle, nor do we have jurisdiction over matters such as noise or traffic. All problems not related to the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Danvers Wetlands Protection Bylaw must be taken up with other appropriate boards. First order of business tonight would be a roll call. Peter Wilson is present. Lorraine Drapek.
Present.
Jonathan Garris.
Present.
Mary Haight. Mary is not with us tonight. And Michael Splain.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 4 members present, which is enough for a quorum. We're just going to switch from our agenda just slightly. The first order of business is going to be our approval of the Rebecca Nurse conservation restriction. And Emily is going to give us a quick overview of that, and Aaron Henry is here to answer any further questions if there are any.
Yep, absolutely. So the conservation restriction at the Rebecca Nurse Homestead, it's been a goal for the town for quite some time. And the purpose is to ensure the premises and to maintain them in perpetuity in their natural scenic condition and maintain the open space and prevent any changes that would impair the conservation value over there. The development of the restriction originated in fall of 2019. And it went before the select board, was approved at that time, and after many years, many iterations, in working with Danvers Alarm List, the final plan was agreed and stamped in April of 2023, and the select board signed off on everything on September 17th of this year. And the final step is for the Conservation Commission's vote and approval on the restriction.
Okay, so what we'll have to do is just vote if we're going to accept the conservation restriction. And then we'll have to sign a document and have it notarized. It's all
Yes, yep,
part
and we
of
have Brian Cassidy here to notarize
it. Okay.
the document.
I mean, I got to watch the selectmen's video the other night, so I kind of pretty have a good feel for what it is. But does anyone have any questions? Mike? No?
Well, why was this needed? Was this a concern?
This prevents the land from being bought and developed and subdivided. It maintains it in its natural state in perpetuity.
No, I get that.
But-
Was there a present concern that something was going to happen? Or?
Not that I'm aware of. This was just to make sure that nothing happened.
And does it change the way the property will be operated in any way or maintained? No?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
That's all. Thank you.
Lorraine, any questions?
No, I read through it. It's pretty-
Okay, good. So if someone can make a motion to approve the conservation restriction, we will do so.
I'll make a motion to approve the conservation restriction at 149 Pine Street.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, is there something we want to sign now?
Yes,
as
yep,
we go
Brian has
along?
the document, so if you can just grab your ID and then he can verify, sign and notarize right now, and then it's all set.
You're gonna know
Aaron,
that.
thank you
Might
for
not be the real Mike.
being available. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's right.
Here I am.
You're welcome, Aaron.
Bye.
Hi, Aaron. I'm known to you personally.
Well, you know, it's a no.
AI these days.
Are you gonna require that other signature for Mary Kate, or?
No, he's not here to vote on this.
Yeah, so.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, great. Thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate it.
All right, the next item on the agenda is a notice of intent application for 1149 through 55 Newberry Street, DEP file number 14-1425. The applicant is John Alvarado. The applicant has requested that we continue this hearing until our October 24th, 2024 meeting. So if someone can make a motion, we will continue until then.
I'll do it. I'll make a motion to continue the application for 11 and 49 to 55 Newberry Street, DEP number 14-1425 to October 24th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so next up is a notice of intent for 50 Endicott Street, DEP file number 14-1428. The applicant is Tennessee Gas Pipeline LLC. Is anyone here to,
Yes, yep, present remotely, just working on getting the sound going here.
just a quick question, I mean, we had the hearing on this at our last meeting, and there was just no DEP numbers?
Correct, yeah, the
That
only
was
holdup
the
was that there was no
only-
DEP number. Phil, could you please say something? We can see if we can hear you. Nothing.
You familiar with this one, Mike?
Yeah, I watched the hearing this morning. and it's-
Phil or Matthew, could you unmute yourself?
Shouldn't be anything over here.
Alright.
Is he present? had his camera on.
They're in here.
Yeah, no, it looks like he shut his camera off. I don't know if he's here.
Right.
There's no way for me to exactly know that.
Phil or Matthew? Let me try in the chat. Oh, okay. Phil's audio is not working.
Oh, interesting.
No, but I watched this morning, and it was a form called Mullins form.
Yeah.
That you submitted, and I also watched the Costco one as well.
It's nothing I can do, I don't think.
See you, Brian.
Good night, Brian.
Thank you.
Hiya, this is Phil London.
Okay, we've got you.
I can hear
Just make sure I can hear.
now.
All right, Phil, we can hear you. If you are ready, we are ready.
Go ahead, please.
Phil?
Had him and lost him. We just heard him perfectly.
Yeah, we heard him for a second.
It's nothing on our end. Thanks for being patient, guys.
Sorry about this.
Yeah, we probably will. Well, the other ones are going to be...
All right, sorry everyone. We're trying.
Should we move on to the next agenda item?
Bill, what are you here on?
Yes, just give
3
us-
and 4, Bill?
Yeah, he's on 3 and 4.
Can we, why don't we move on?
If
Just
you
in
would like
time.
to- okay, yeah.
Anyone on here for those, do we? Why
I'm
don't
sorry?
we do- We could do 3 and 4 while you're getting that,
Okay.
because Bill Manuel's here and we don't need to be on the screen.
Okay, so the next item, we're just going to skip ahead, is going to be a notice of intent for 40 Riverside Street, DEP file number 14-1427. And the applicant is Richard and Rachel MacGyver, and their representative is Bill Manuel.
Okay, just give me 1 second so I can pull that plan up here.
Good evening. Bill Manuel, Wetlands and Land Management. And this is for a new pier ramp and float at 40 Riverside Street. And the owner, who is sitting here in the audience, Rich MacGyver, he is also going to repair his seawall, which is along the waterfront of his property. And that seawall is showing signs of deteriorating, it's bulging out and tipping seaward. So we want to take care of that before we have a bad scene on our hands. So I'll go through the seawall first. Here's the house. The commission will remember just really issued a certificate of compliance not too long ago for the construction of that new house. Turned out wonderful. That matter is all closed out. I don't know, maybe you had an opportunity to see the seawall then, but here it is. We're going to replace this concrete and cinder block seawall with a shea block wall, or a gravity block wall as they're called. I know the commission's seen them. They've done first thing that comes to mind is Tibbetts Avenue. There's several homes on Tibbetts Avenue where you approved this gravity block wall. And it's really convenient because basically all you do working at low tide, you put in a leveling pad of crushed stone, and then you begin stacking the blocks up. You backfill it with crushed stone, clean crushed stone, filter fabric behind that, and that way the water comes in. This is basically a dry stack wall, so advancing tides come in, they will soak through the wall, but they'll go back out and leave all the soil behind. So it's a really fairly ingenious way to take care of these waterfront issues, and frankly the work goes pretty quickly. So Commission's familiar with it, and that's what they'd like to do here. It's about 105 linear feet of wall from one end of the property right down to the other. The proposed pier, it extends, the pier is about 200 feet, and then there's a 40-foot ramp, 40-foot ramp here, and then there is a 13-by-6 end float, and they're attached to it as a 20-by-6 end float. It is positioned in such a way that there is always in permanent water. The Army Corps of Engineers likes to see 30 inches of water underneath the float at low tide, and we positioned it so that we achieve that. As a sort of belt and suspenders approach, the engineer has shown that there will be rails or legs on the underside of these, so that maybe in an extreme low on a king tide or something where you might have a lower than low tide, it will always be 30 inches off the mud. So that satisfies Army Corps, certainly satisfied Division of Marine Fisheries. We got their comments today, late this morning. They had a couple of, it was pretty much a form letter response, but they did have some comments, and I told Emily earlier today that we have no problem incorporating those suggestions into the order of conditions. They would be that, control turbidity, so the pile driver would install
What
it.
were the comments?
I'm sorry?
What were the comments?
I'm going to walk through them right now. Basically, control turbidity. So we do that by installing the silt boom. Any storage of materials would be on the upland side of the wall. They suggested for refueling, they said either take machinery off-site or refuel on-site, but had either controlled environment like refuel over a tarp, and also have a spill kit. It's very inconvenient to load up an excavator and take it off-site and drive it down the road just so you can refuel it. So we'd suggest the latter, that you create a refueling area. It's as simple as putting a tarp down on the ground. The excavator would roll over the tarp, you'd refuel it. And then also, I think it's a standard that everybody has a spill kit on site now. Do you have spill kits in your machinery? I'm not sure if that's a regulation, but virtually everybody has a spill kit these days, and you could put that in the order of conditions. And the other thing is the methodology for driving the piles is they call it the slow start method, where they sort of begin the vibration, and then they stop for a minute, and then they vibrate again, and then they stop for a minute, and then they have a slow start up, and then they finally get up to full power. And that allows any fish that are in the area to become, they hear the activity and they move away. So it's that's also becoming like sort of a standard operating procedure. So very first thing we did was speak with the harbor master. We got his input on the project. We designed it accordingly. I don't have anything written, but Emily has informed me that he didn't have any comments with this plan, so that's wonderful. DMF is on board with it. This is the first stop that we have to make. We will need an Army Corps of Engineers permit, and we'll need a Chapter 91 permit, but we can't do any of that until we have an order of conditions. So it's consistent with your regulations. We don't need any waivers from your regulations for the construction of the pier, and everybody seems to like it, so on the regulatory side. So we're looking for an order of conditions.
How many piles are there, Bill?
There are 24 piles.
200 foot long. How long is it from landward to the end of the floats?
247 feet.
You said the harbor master had no issue with it?
Emily can report to that.
Yep, he said he was okay with the plan.
Okay, and I do like the fact that you're keeping everything off of the 30 inches off the bottom.
Yep.
And do both of these projects have to be done together? Or, while you're waiting for your Chapter 91 license, would you be building the seawall?
Well, the seawall has to get done first, or at least to a point where the last section of pier is attached to it. But
For the name.
I assume we're going to do the seawall first. But the seawall, to my knowledge, is not licensed either. So we're going to chase that.
Okay, but I mean, you're saying that the seawall is in some danger of collapsing?
It
And
may
it might-
last 50 years or 5 weeks.
Right.
You know, it's beginning that tip, and
Okay, I'm just
Nobody
wondering
knows.
if you wanted to do them all together or separately, because getting the Chapter 91 license is going to be a while.
yeah, the wall is subject to the 91 license as well.
Oh,
So
it is,
We need
okay.
to
Okay.
get that in place.
Is that a separate license for the wall?
No, it's all on one license.
All right, Mike, any other questions?
Yeah, so this style of building a seawall, how come those blocks don't move? They're just too big or what?
They interlock with each other. There's like a tab on the upper block, and there's a key on the lower block, and they just interlock with each other.
And how big are the blocks roughly?
They come in different sizes. The base stones are like on the order of 3 feet long by 18 inches high. And then they change in size as you go up the wall. You don't need as much mass.
And when you do the pile driving with the vibration method,
Yep.
do you do that, is that tide dependent?
No.
It's not.
Well, yes, it is, because we need high tide to get the barge in there.
And then the barge will sit there until you get the work done, and then you
Yep.
move on to the next point?
Right.
How long does that take?
Well, to drive a pile,
There's 24 of them, right?
yep. You know, to drive it's not very long, surprisingly. You know, maybe an hour tops
Oh.
to get set up and then vibrate a pile in,
Yeah. And then,
unless there's a problem encountered, but that's,
the total length on the pier is 240 feet. What does that include?
the pier itself is 200 feet, the gangway is 40 feet, and then it lands on a 13-foot long float.
Is that to a right angle of the pier, or is that an additional length?
So it's in the same orientation as the pier, and then the 20 by 6 is adjacent to that, so it's like an inverted L.
So is it actually beyond, more than 240 feet?
No, the number is 247, and from the outer end of the float back to the beginning of the pier is 247.
And how does that compare to other piers in the area in terms of length?
Well, it's longer than this one, but this one sits in the mud. It's not as far out as where all the boats are moored. Here's all the mooring balls that are in the vicinity.
So how much longer?
Well, this is really the only pier that's nearby here. So
Well, you said it's longer than this one, meaning how much than the previous one?
I think he's the next door neighbor.
this is the next door neighbor.
Oh, okay. And does that impact any on the neighbor's pier in any way by doing that?
No, we were very concerned about that, and you see there's, what's that number? It's 106 feet separation from, corner to float to corner to float. I'm not a boater, but I think you can navigate.
And what
100
about
feet.
navigating for like rowboats, kayaks, canoes?
Yep. At high tide, there's still 4.5 feet of clearance underneath the bottom of the pier.
All right, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Jonathan, any questions?
Yeah, how close does the float lay next to the navigable channel?
I don't believe there's a designated channel in this section.
Okay.
As I said, these are where the moorings are, the town-issued moorings, and so it comes up short of the boats that line all along the channel. If you zoom out and say a Google Earth, there are moorings, this side and that side of the channel, and the channel's only, 20 feet wide or so in that section, the dredge channel.
Well, let's just say Mr. MacGyver buys himself a 40-foot boat or something like that. Is that going to impact any of the moorings in the area?
I wouldn't think so, because here's where the present moorings are, and the boat's tied up here.
Good question. That's where we defer to the harbor master. Lorraine, any questions?
No, you answered mine. It was, mine only involved the report from the Division of Marine Fisheries, but you've incorporated all that, so, no.
Okay,
I just have one more question.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so, where is the closest mooring?
So they're right here on the plan. There's one right there. There's another one there, here. So like, this is a pair, and this
Probably
is a
40,
pair, so
50
there'll be a
feet.
boat like that, and then, or excuse me, this is a pair, and this is a pair, and then there's a pair over here.
And these moorings that are on there, what is their purpose?
Other boats tie up to them.
Other boats tied up? And
Bow
when
and
would
stern.
boats be tied up there?
Most of the time.
Most of the time?
Let's just say, I don't know, Memorial Day to the end of the boating season. During the boating season.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there an existing pier and float system there now?
No, this is all new.
And is there any salt marsh involved?
There is no salt marsh at this site. It's just there's a line of riprap against the existing wall, and then it's mud flat, exposed mud flat at low tide.
Okay. And I just don't recall this project. We issued an order of conditions when, 2022?
Yep, 2022. And that project was closed out March 15th of 2024, so earlier this year.
Brand new house. This property is right on the bend of Riverside Street, where you're bending to the right.
Okay, and we just had another project on Riverside, I think our last meeting.
Doesn't it seem like we're getting a lot more of these applications? I mean, no one,
That
just
and
over
Tibbetts
the
Ave,
years.
they're just,
You must be advertising, I don't know. We seem to get all over these.
Yeah, this is my advertising.
okay,
Oh,
is
yes,
there any,
that's my advertising.
members of the commission, any further questions? No? Is there any public comment or questions?
Hey, Bill, I'm just out of curiosity, why do these keep getting longer? Did something change in the channel, or?
No, it's, the regulations changed, and the way DMF is reviewing these, they don't want the floats grounding out. And so you push out to a point where you can have 30 inches of water under your float.
Thank you.
Which is what we.
Yeah, Pete Clement, town meeting member, precinct 3. I don't see anything, a problem with this at all.
Are
The-
those
the-
your
the-
mooring that you put in, Pete?
They're not mine, it's whoever owns
But you
the
put them
area.
in?
Yeah, I put them in, and, they'll be out of the way.
You know
and it's-
about them, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, and as far as, if someone gets a bigger boat, it's whatever the channel will handle. And that's why in Danvers, you go to a 2-point system, so as the tide's coming in and out, your boat's not swinging around on a 1 point, and it's not affecting the channel. So in Danvers, they have 2 moorings to hold it in place on the side of the channel.
For one boat, 2
Yes,
moorings?
yes.
One boat?
Yeah.
All right, so you don't see any problems with this? is
No,
what
I
you're
don't see
saying.
any problems with this whatsoever. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Pete's our resident expert.
Sounds like he's built a dock or two.
Anyone else? Hearing none, I think this is good to go then. Someone can make a motion, we'll move along.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions.
For identify it, 40 Riverside DEP number.
Yeah, for the dock and pier at 40 Riverside Street, DEP file number 14-1427.
Motion's been made, is there a second?
Well,
Oh, you're
may I
right,
just
you're right,
add
you're right.
that
Go
we
ahead,
wanna,
Mike. We have-
incorporate the conditions that were enumerated by
division, yeah.
Mr. Manuel.
Right.
And were listed by staff, right? Add that to the motion.
Sorry.
So just say what with the
Okay,
following
then,
conditions.
any fueling is either off-site or if on-site will be done with a spill kit present, correct?
Correct.
We're adding that to the conditions?
Yeah, a
Yes.
slow vibration when doing the piling, you use that method where you start with a slower vibration
Yep,
also?
slow start.
Yeah. What was the condition on the turbidity you mentioned, the first?
Deploy silt
Best
boom.
methods for
Yep,
A floating silt curtain.
a floating silk curtain and,
Storing material.
yeah, and storing material. Where are you gonna store material?
they would be on the upland side, obviously.
Yeah. And
On
And
site,
And what about removed material to be removed from the site, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So the additional conditions, materials removed from the site, storage upland,
fueling
and the fueling,
in the pile driver.
the vibration start, and the best method with the screening, right?
Yeah.
Those are all additional.
Yep.
So those, you've got that, Emily? That's
Yep.
pretty much what
So
Yep,
the,
that was
just
everything that was in the
adding
DMF letter.
Onto his motion,
Yep.
it's his motion.
I can do it over again.
No, it's your motion still.
okay, the motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good luck. Are we ready for 50 Endicott Street?
Yeah, let me see if I can get that going here.
Good luck. We go right into 4, or we?
Well, she's checking to see if we can
I'm
do
just seeing
50
if we can get
Endicott
Phil
Street.
here. 1 second.
You get an awful lot of these piers now, style, you know,
Yeah. People buying big houses and
Big
want a
houses,
boat
yeah.
there too.
that's true. And you- Richard.
Any luck, Emily?
It's got
I
big
just
meander to it.
sent him a message.
All right, why don't we're just going to go on to the next one then.
Okay.
Just-
All right,
All right, so next up is a request for determination of applicability for 7 Doty Avenue, RDA file number 2024-08. The applicant is Robert and Marilyn Rebow, and Bill Manuel is here to represent them.
Hi, Bill Manuel, Wetlands and Land Management, Danvers, Mass. This is a project where the commission issued an order of conditions, I think it was 2020, to rebuild a licensed pier on the property. In 2023, we got an extension to the order of conditions, a 1-year extension, and that expired this summer. And so, to date, all the intrusive offshore work is done. All the piles have been driven. Mr. Riebel has been constructing the remainder of the pier, all the cross bracing, all the decking. A lot of it is custom-made hardware that he's fabricating in his own shop. And frankly, it's taking some time. There have been some health setbacks along the way. When it was being framed out, there's only so many hours of a week that you can work where the tides were right. And so it's taken longer than anybody would have hoped at this point. And so what remains is to just finish the decking. Everything is all framed in and it's decked out to about halfway. And then that's when he got the order to stop working because his permit expired. So we need to finish the decking. And then once the decking is installed, then we can move the float a few feet up the river and then install the gangway. And that will finish out the project. We also, since the pile was first installed, the piles, one of them has broken off, has ice damage. So we amended the application to include the installation of one new pile. I have a new plan here that indicates the pile to be, it'll be pulled and then redriven. A new one would be redriven. So basically, we're looking for a negative determination. Once everything is done, then we can get rid of all these floats that have been on the flats for quite a long time. That was always the plan. But until the pier is finished, those are needed to get out to the end float here. So we're asking for some more patience on the commission's part. It's been 4 years since you issued the permit, but I'll call it a special circumstance because there's just the way that the owner is doing this, it's taking time. And, basically he's doing it himself, so it takes a little bit longer.
So with the, are you all done, Bill? I'm sorry.
Yes.
With the expiration of the order of conditions, I think the proper methodology would be to reapply for another notice of intent. So I don't understand the logic of asking for a negative determination of applicability. I mean, there's a project that we gave you permission for that's not completed, and now you want a special or a different.
And we gave a one-year extension.
Right, that we gave an extension to. Now you're looking for a different, we're going to give away our jurisdiction, basically. I don't understand what the logic is here, so if you could
Well-
expound on that, Bill.
Yeah, the logic is if we still had to drive piles and do intrusive work, then a notice of intent would be appropriate. But the only thing that's left to do is about a 100-foot run of decking. It's all above water. We just need authorization to continue work on the decking. And then as far as repositioning the float, I mean, that gets, that sort of stuff happens every single spring. When folks pull their floats and then they have them reinstalled. So, really, if the pier were done, you don't need any authorization to pull your float and reinstall it. It's all licensed. So, I mean,
But
the project
pier-
is
but the
only
pier is
limited
not
to
done.
overwater work.
But the pier is not complete.
The decking on the pier is not complete. The decking and the rails, it's just carpentry work.
It's been 4 years.
Yes, it has, but I explained to you the extenuating circumstances and
You said it was a special circumstance because he was doing it himself. Is that something that was represented that, I don't get that part.
I don't recall that I represented Mr. Riebel was going to do it himself, but that's the way it turned out. So, as I said, if we needed intrusive work and, the pier wasn't started, then it would be appropriate to file a notice of intent. But to file a notice of intent to do 4 feet wide by about 100 feet of decking to screw onto the existing framing that's there.
If we were to agree to this, is there gonna be a time limit on when he can do, when the work is?
You could condition that. I mean,
I mean,
RDAs
you're
are,
saying there's
it
only a
would be
little
valid
bit,
for,
you're saying a week's worth of work
I wouldn't want to pin anybody down. I don't.
on anything? You don't wanna pin him down? It's been over 4 years. I mean, a month?
I can't speak for Mr. Riebel.
Or is he here?
His wife is here, and if she can perhaps speak if she is willing, but, there's budget constraints, there's health constraints. He's a disabled Vietnam veteran. There are times when he begins working and then he gets to the point where he can't work anymore.
It's a lot for him.
It is a lot. So I didn't want to broadcast these sorts of things, but there are extenuating circumstances, and that's why we're here asking for a negative determination to finish out the project.
Have we ever done this before? I don't think so.
this is the first that I've come across with a situation like this.
I don't remember anything like this.
In all the
Approached us
years
for
I've been
another
on,
extension, would we have given them an extension?
we can't
did.
give
Yeah,
it.
It's, extensions are one time, 1 year.
Okay.
But the other what do you do? Leave a project unfinished? You can't, how do you do? So-
Right, it's kind of a catch-22. You can issue the negative determination for the plan as is, or you could issue a positive determination of applicability, which would require them to come back for an NOI. It's kind of up to the board.
But either way, you're
Right,
getting
no,
the same
Bill-
result.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'll
Either
get
way, the
back.
work can't be completed until something.
Repeat that?
I said either way, they wouldn't be able to continue any work until some form of a permit is issued from the board. Because right now, there's nothing, so all work is stopped.
Right. Okay, Jonathan, are you all set, Mike?
Yeah.
Jonathan, any further questions? Lorraine? Do you have
I
any?
guess my question, I mean, we're looking at history here, right? This is 4 years of history. And it's to everybody in this room, before a permit runs out, if you know that that work is not going to be completed, I mean, is there an obligation that you come forward and say?
get an extra year.
Yes.
Oh, all right, so they came
They
before.
came for that, right.
And they got
But then
the
it
extra
ran,
year, and that
but now
ran
it
out.
ran out.
Yeah.
So we weren't notified that this wasn't going to be done before it ran out?
No.
But the
No,
the
you
other
got a cease and
extenuating,
desist order at that point because they're outside of the,
Right.
Right, but I mean,
Time.
that, it would have been nice to know that they weren't going to
Yeah.
need it again, I guess.
the other extenuating circumstance is that Danvers is unique in your bylaw that you only allow one-year extension. That's a limitation that I can't think of another town that has such a limitation. Normally, if you got to the end of your permit, you might say, I need 2 years, or I might need the full 3, or whatever, and that's up to the commission.
come in for the 1 year? Did they come in, did you come in for them?
I don't recall, was it me, or did you guys do it themselves? Apparently, I was here asking for the
So you
extension.
must have represented, we need another year, we'll get it done.
That's all you give.
Yeah,
Right,
but you
that's
would
it.
have represented that.
Yeah. But, you know, anything could happen, and things do happen. So, as I said, this is unique that Danvers only allows one-year extension. That ran out, so we need some kind of permit to finish the project. I don't, frankly, you know, for the work that's left to be done, I think it's over the top to have us go away and file different paperwork to get to the same result. We're trying to get a permission from the town to restart work so that we can finish it. If you want to put a time frame on it, like a year or so,
Yeah.
because winter's coming, you know what, I don't know. But
Present it like it's something that can be done like that, and then you're saying, how about putting a year on it?
Well, given the circumstances that I described to you about 5 minutes ago, I don't want to limit Mr. Riebel and say he's got to do it in such a short
Well,
amount of
if we
time.
do a notice of, if you come in with a notice of intent, we'll have 3 more years. That's the way to do it.
But I just find that a waste of time to file a notice of intent to screw in deck boards.
Well, I would represent that if you did it that way, I think I'd be in favor of that, because I know he'd have 3 years, and it seems like you're not convinced he could do it in a year anyway, so I would be inclined to go that way.
Well, you're going to see the same plan. You're going to see the same
Yeah.
applicant. Marilyn, what do you think?
We'll speed it up.
And I can,
Get it, you get it on for the next date. I mean, I would be for it. And he'd have 3 years, Bill. I mean,
if they filed it anyway.
yeah.
Right. But here, I think there's all kinds of floats.
You're talking about
Excuse me,
just
could you-
going up
miss-
there and doing some
ma'am,
carpentry
ma'am,
work.
Excuse me, could you
Huh?
just identify yourself, please?
My name's Marilyn Riebel. I live at this 7 Doty Avenue.
And you are
My
the property
husband
owner.
is Robert. You know, you say, oh, it's just a little carpentry work. These planks are like this. They have to be lugged down there,
I'm not saying
fitted.
it's a little carpentry work. He is.
No,
Yes, he is.
you're saying it can be done in a week or so. It can't. My husband's doing this alone. My husband's a disabled vet. He has an injury that cannot be operated on. He's in pain all the time. He works until he can't work anymore. He's done an excellent job. I think you could see that when you made the site visit, right? Sir?
I don't think we've had a site visit at this
No, that
particular
we've had a site.
Who made the site visit?
No, staff came out. I apologize. That was a miscommunication between myself and Bill. I thought the visit was at the office. Bill thought it was on site, so it was a last minute. We drove out to the site 2 days ago. So that was a miscommunication on our end for that. So.
True, he can get this finished. He has the equipment. He has fabricated all the fasteners and everything. It's ready. He's been working consistently on that. The gangway's there, ready to be hung. He's made the brackets for the gangway. That's ready to put on. He has the float. It's just finishing the decking. But each plank has to be lugged out there. It has to be fitted. It has to be joined. He's working sometimes with the tides, to get them out there. It's more work than you think it is. Can I answer anything else for you?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, where were we? Jonathan, questions?
No, nothing.
Lorraine, any questions?
No, just concerns.
Oh, go ahead and voice them.
Well, I mean, with all due respect to everybody in this room, I happen to be a healthcare professional. I don't think there should be pressure on a disabled veteran, or any man, no matter what age, who has been ill, to have a timeline, such a short timeline, to do something like this. And, the other thing, too, is what's the impact on neighbors that this work is not getting done as well? So I think it's a lot of work for you, Mr. Manuel. I get it, with all due respect. But I think that this man should have 3 years to do this again. There should not be pressure for us to say, like you said, winter's coming. He's an ill man. He can do this when he feels up to it. I think
Just to clarify, an RDA is valid for 3 years. So
But
you
it's
could condition a
expired.
timeline within it, but an RDA, if you issued a negative determination of applicability, that would be valid for 3 years.
For 3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Here.
You're going to see the exact same plan. It's just duplication of effort. It's me coming back here on behalf of the applicants on another evening when you're going to see the very same information. So we're asking for the negative determination as permission to proceed. We hope that it can be done in 6 weeks, 2 months, whatever. I can't put a time frame on it.
Bill, what's the harm in doing a notice of intent? You're gonna use the same plan, like you said. It's all gonna be the same.
Yeah.
How much, is it that much more money? No?
I just don't like bureaucracy. I'm here in front of the commission with the same plan you're going to see, and you can give me a negative determination that has a 3-year time frame, or I can go away and come back I won't make the next meeting, so it'll have to be a month from now, and then you'll say, yes, you can go ahead and do it.
My concern is, Bill, that we have regulations that we've established, and you haven't met these regulations, so now you kind of want the shortcut around it. The rule is if the notice of intent expires, or the order of conditions expires, you have to refile. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You're going to have 3 years one way or the other, but these are the rules that we have, Bill. These have to be adhered to.
It will be simple enough to go and file a notice of intent, but I just want to, by your logic, if I filed a notice of intent to build a house, and at the end of the 3 years they needed to do some shrubs, are you going to make me file an NOI to plant shrubs? What I'm saying is the 99% of the work is done here, and we're at the very end.
I don't think 99% of the work is done. And
All right.
let me just ask a follow-up question, Bill. Are the floats that are all on the mud still there?
Yes. And they can't be removed until the project is completed.
So, but you're
could
getting
be
3
3
years one way or the
years.
other. So you just go through the procedures that we have.
Fine.
My name is Teresa Nato.
You can go to the microphone, please, so you could then get you on TV.
My name is Teresa Nato, and we live at 5 Doty Ave. We are neighbors of the Rabels. Why can't those docks be removed that are sitting in the mud? It has no bearing for Mr. Rabel. He has no boat. Why they not be removed? You should see our front land. Our water flow is just not going through. So why do those have to remain there? They can build the dock. Why do those floats remain in mud? You should see our front waterfront.
I'm going to turn that question around to Mr. Manuel. Why do the floats have to stay there?
Well, right now, you can't, they're necessary to get out to the end float, because this doesn't make it out to the end, so you can't put the gangway down, so you can't reposition the end float.
I'm not understanding that.
It's yes, there's a line of floats. That's how you get out to the end float.
Is the end float being used for anything right now?
It's there. It could be used by Mr. Riebel anytime he wants.
Or we
You have
just
to
heard
get to it.
nothing's being used there. They don't use them.
You could get one tomorrow. It's a licensed structure.
Well, that's another issue.
Right. But it's still, we still have our regulations.
Well, respectfully, I don't want to beat this dead horse. I don't think we're circumventing any regulations because we're here after the one-year extension expired. We're looking for authorization to proceed. We asked for a negative determination. The commission seems to think otherwise, so.
Okay.
So do you want us to issue a positive? Or
No, I want you to issue a negative, but you'll have to take a vote.
Do that.
Right. So you'll be second.
No, we'll have 4 years, because we can get another year if it's not done in 3 years, so it could be, with a notice of intent, he'll have 4 more years.
Oh, okay.
Pete Clement, town meeting member, precinct 3. If you listen to what the environmental guy said, all you have is here to here to finish, right? That's all you have to do is finish that. And then you can get the gangway and the floats and the rest of the other stuff can come out. The problem is you have to come down here when you get your gangway to put on here. You gotta be able to go out here to this float. Other than that, you're gonna have a float out in the middle of the water with nothing connected to it. So if anything happens, if someone's in a boat and they come and they crash into it, or what have you, okay, they break down. There's no way of going to service, out to that float. So, leave these in until this is done with the gangway on it. As soon as that's done, those will all come out and be removed. But the only reason that's what's holding us up right now, or holding these people up right now, is that they can't put on the decking. So, all the water work is done. Everything in the mud, everything with the fish, all right, has nothing, isn't going to be affected. The only thing is to put something that you can walk on to get out there in rails. So he's looking for a year just for that, all right? Because, anybody's license with something that long and something that high, their insurance ain't going to cover it. So he's got to have some time to be able to put the decking on, keep people off until he gets the rails out. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the commission, all right, has, once it's just the decking, I don't understand why there's a problem with it. Thank you.
Okay. I did hear that one pile has to be driven still. Is that correct?
That's because it got broke during the winter time. And if you go to Danvers Port or anybody else, okay, that has pilings in, when they break them, you have a right, an automatic right, to pull a pile and put another one in its place. Danvers Port's been doing it for years without coming to you people to have broken pilings put in. And I'm not pointing a finger to any of them, because everyone that's got pylons out there, if they have a broken pylon, all right, if the machine's coming in the river, they pick out the old one and they put in a new one. And they don't come in for a determination or any of that, because it's maintenance. And that's all that is right now, is maintenance.
Well, that would be a negative RDA
So,
for that, what you just said.
I mean, I don't like I said, it's not like you're fooling around with the fish or the mud or anything else. All you're doing is just putting on a deck or something that you can walk out to. All right? Thank you.
Sir?
Hi, my name is Keith Nato. I live at 5 Doty Ave. So I have a few issues to go over about this project. Emily, did they get the pictures that
Yes.
they all got those?
Yes.
That we sent about our land filling in? Did you all see that, how the tide? But let me go over the dock first. So they have all these docks going here, going all the way up to the end. That's by the picture. So right now, there's double floats here. There's 2 double floats here. There's 3 floats right here. And the only reason why that this boat, that they have to use their docks right now, is because someone keeps their boat on that dock. Bob Rabel does not have a boat, and they can work from the dock, the top side of the dock, and Danvers Mooring has a barge. If you go down the Danvers River, you see floats out in the middle of the river with 2 moorings on each side floating around. There must be 10 of them down there. There's no difference from there to there. They already have moorings on either side. So I don't know why these docks can't be removed. That's the first issue. So right now, with the tide coming in, those docks have probably been there for, I don't know, I'm assuming 8 years, maybe 6 to 8 years. I'm not sure exactly the date. So I live like right here. So when the tide comes in now, this side comes in over here, and it's high tide here. And then all in this area, all around here, I'm 40 feet out from a mound that's been stopped. From all the sediment coming down the river, it just stops right there. And it doesn't keep going. So I got high tide on this side and low tide on this side coming in. So my whole waterfront is getting filled in. So I want to get that corrected. I want to either get that dredged out or brought it back to original, the way it was. I sent pictures. We just sent another one the other day of what the tide looked like when the docks first started, when the docks were first set. It all came in at the same time. It didn't, it wasn't like this, and it just came in at the same time. That's one thing. And another thing is they switched the dock. This dock, instead of it being this dock, they flipped the docks. So this is a 6 by 20, which was out here all the time. But now it's a 10 by 35 dock. So I don't know where they got the permission to do that, or why they did that. And where's the, like the permitting or the approval to do that. And then, what else was it? The shifting the dock 2 feet closer to my area already. So if you go from their lot line already, so you follow the lot line, you go, wah, they're already, 10, 12 feet onto my waterfront. So there's no way that I would approve, to move the dock 2 feet further upriver. Is that it, baby? Was there anything else?
Sir, are you saying the floats are causing the
Floats
disruption
are
of the?
stopping the flow. Because they're not just single floats like this anymore. There's double floats. Like on the end here right now, there's a float out here, a double float. Inside here, I think there's a double float right here. Right here where you go down, there's 3 floats. So it's, you can look at the pictures. Did you guys look at those pictures at all?
Yeah, but what are they there for?
What there for?
What are all those floats there for?
That's their
I have no
original
idea.
dock. That's how they get out to their float, out to the boat.
To get out
right?
to this end dock, which has no purpose, no one's using that dock.
But you said someone was renting
It's not a commercial dock, it's a
I thought you
residential
said
dock.
someone was using it, a neighbor.
Someone was using that dock, so that's why they kept the floats out there. Bob Rabel did not need those docks there to get out to the end. He didn't need to. He doesn't have a boat. Maybe to work on the docks, when they're building this, I could see maybe to get underneath it. I remember they were putting brackets on at high tide, they had a ladder going up to it, which seemed, a good reason, but the docks are filling in my land, and my waterfront, and I want that corrected. I don't know what the solution is. I know dredging is astronomical, I don't know what the
Is
solution
that
is.
an
to
issue
get
for the harbor
my
master?
No,
land.
I did discuss that with the harbor master and showed him the photos. He was not able to verify that any of that buildup had been caused specifically by those floats.
Okay. All right, thank you.
But so you were able to look at all the pictures of the water flow coming in? Yeah?
Yep, yeah. all
And the
pictures
harbor
were shared.
master saw them, right?
Yes, harbor master saw the photos too.
I mean, if the floats are moved, once the floats are moved, all that sediment could,
Yeah,
wash away.
again,
Yeah.
be regulated.
yeah.
So-
it could
Is
just
there anyone
wash
else who would
out.
like to speak?
So he gets 3 years no matter what, I guess that's why.
Hmm.
7 years to get this done.
Marilyn Rabel. First of all, we own a boat. It's right outside of their house, on our property, right beside their house. They know we own a boat. I don't know why they keep professing we don't own a boat.
Oh, my God.
Now, as far as, what? As far as encroaching on their land, if you look at the old pictures of the river, the people, before they had floats, people put rock piling pathways out to the channel. 4 different homes. And you can go and see these if you can go to the bank and see these. They're in both sides of us and us. There's like rock mounds that go out to the channel, and that's what they used to use to get over the muck mud, the river mud, to get out to have, to access their boats or to bring their boats out. So there's this natural hump, 3 of them. Now, I don't know if that's being mistaken as accumulation of material or not, but they're visible. The rock ways out. So, my husband was a commercial fisherman. Now, this first one was one he used to store the traps on, back and forth. So if he had traps that needed to come in on high tide, he'd come in, put the traps there. Every single one of these are going to be gone the minute this area gets left over. So as far as, questioning all this float business, you're ready to go as soon as it's finished.
Let me ask a question.
Certainly.
Are you willing to make a commitment, a time commitment to get this work done?
Of course, we want it done, and the weather's going to turn bad pretty soon, and we,
Because I think overall, we want to have those floods out, we want to have those floats off of the mud ASAP.
That's not gonna happen.
If I could get some assurance that that deck work would be done in a timely manner, I'd be inclined to support that. But there's got to be some strict time commitment to get that work done and those floats out of the water, off the mud. My thinking is we probably should continue this and kind of, you could discuss between Emily, the harbor master, and Bill, and just come up with a plan. And we could revisit it. That's my opinion.
He
The
already
members of the
indicated he
board,
was willing to file a notice of intent.
but they don't, that's 3 years. I mean, if we can get those floats off of the mud quicker, it's to our
But
benefit.
the RDA would be good for 3 years, right?
But we can condition it that it's of a lesser term.
Well, I don't know if you can.
You could put conditions on it, but if you would like, I'm happy to arrange a meeting with Bill and the
Are you
harbor
saying we
master and
could
see what we
do
can
an
work out
RDA?
before we close this.
Do a negative RDA and put 6 months on it, and then what happens at the end of 6 months?
Then they'd have
We'd
to
be back
stop.
here again.
Huh?
We'd be back here again. If
And
they don't
doing
meet the
what?
terms of it, then
Asking,
they'd be
giving
in
them-
violation, and we'd be kind of back
we
in the
wouldn't be
same
another-
position.
In other words, could you change a 3-year RDA to a 6-month?
No,
No. Can't, so.
no, you could put conditions in it, but it's, the DEP standards, RDAs are valid for 3 years.
But you can't say the work must be done in 6 months.
That would get tricky.
Can't, no.
To
so
condition it like that would be tough.
I'm still, I want to see a notice of intent. 'cause-
Okay, that's,
Because we can't really do what you want to do, Peter.
But, I mean, if you would like, I can set up a meeting with Bill and the harbor master, and if you do want to continue it, it's up to the commission. That's what you want to do.
well, yeah, I mean, I want to get this project done, but I don't want it to be going on for another 3 years.
I have a question, Peter.
Go ahead, John.
I'm not a dock building expert, but, and maybe someone in this room is, or could answer the question. Could you temporarily attach the gangway to the end of the dock to complete that outer portion and then build the decking out to it? That would allow you to immediately move the float system that's there.
No. 'Cause you have to
Wouldn't
deck
we
out to it.
condition it on the float systems coming out?
Yeah, and I mean, it's in the plan that the floats are coming out.
Yeah, but I mean first. Because that would address their issue of what he thinks is sediment buildup, and then the sediment would wash out, wouldn't it? Wash away?
Well, I don't know that. I don't know if it'll wash away, but is that gonna take 5 years, 6 years, as long as it took, you know? It's not a pathway, like you said. When I first moved in there, the tide came straight in like that. There was no buildup whatsoever, and so those docks were in. Now it goes, and the tide doesn't come in.
And that's because that's because stuff is sitting on the mud. If
Yeah,
it
it
was up
floats.
over the mud, it wouldn't be an issue.
Nobody can confirm that.
Those docks have been there.
I'm not saying they weren't there, but the tide has changed since those docks have been coming in.
The tide
Well-
has changed?
The tide has changed.
I have a solution.
Okay,
Okay, go ahead,
go
Bill.
ahead.
I'd like to get some certainty into this, so why don't you just give me a positive determination, and I'll come back with a notice of intent.
All right.
We'll just move forward like that. You're not meeting until October,
24th.
4 weeks.
so that will give me time to be at your next available meeting, and you'll see the same plan.
That's what I'd like to do.
Okay, so,
You-
oh, that's good, but
Close the
Mr.,
hearing.
So what does that mean when you say you're gonna give them a, can you explain that a little
Means
bit?
he's got to refile.
he has to come back for another order of conditions, what they had from 4 years ago.
So what about the land filling in? Like, where does that go?
Nothing's going to happen with that until they're filed.
The
Pete.
docks, I don't care if it takes them 3 years, but those docks cannot be in there for another 3 years.
Well, we're going to see a new proposal, the applicant's going to come back and address everything.
Okay, so,
Pete Clement, town meeting member, precinct 3. When we first started this out, we were looking for a year. Somehow or another, it got to 3 years now. I'm still looking for that 1 year. If you give us that 1 year, we'll have everything all done within 1 year. All right? I mean, if unless you want the 3 years, you want us to put in for the 3 years.
It's for 3 years. If you get it done in a year, we're your best
We'll be
friend.
thrilled.
Well, that's what we're looking for. That's what we originally came up
Well,
with.
the RDA is 3 years, the negative RDA, the notice of intent is 3 years.
All we got to do is do the decking, all right? Repair the gangway, and it's done. We haul everything out. I'm just looking for a year. I don't know what you guys are looking for.
But we wanted to do that, but we're being told that we can't condition it.
Let's
I mean,
just-
I would like to have.
Why
give
can't you do that?
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's valid for 3 years. If you want to set up some form of
I want to go
timeline, it's
along
just-
with what Bill said. Let him come back with a notice of intent, and let's issue a positive determination, and see where we go from there.
I thought my way was the easiest, to be honest with you.
Certificate of compliance.
Yeah, and then we'll issue a COC.
With the intent, is that 3 years?
You know something, I want to backtrack. I'm sorry, I'm speaking.
3 years.
I want to backtrack. I think I would like to ask for a continuance, and we'll discuss what may be the best path forward. All right?
I can agree with that. Is this a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay, is there any other public comment before we vote to continue? No?
Yeah, I know someone's coming.
You were so adamant you couldn't do this, and then you flipped.
Because I want to get it done. I want to get those floats off of the mud.
Hello, I'm Mary Rebel, the daughter of Marilyn and Robert.
Could you speak up, miss?
Yeah, we can't.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Mary Rebel, the daughter of Marilyn and Robert. I wanted to thank you for your time. I wanted to apologize that we didn't come here before then the deadline was due. I want to state that the items that were listed were true. He's the homeowner, and the gentleman who did most of the work is a disabled Vietnam veteran. He's been at that house or the house next door for greater than 40 years. It was the house that I grew up in, my two sisters grew up in. He was a commercial lobsterman for greater than 40 years. And that was used as his income, his livelihood. Over the time frame which you gave him, he did have multiple medical problems, which he's treated for at the VA. He's an able-bodied gentleman. I'm in healthcare as well. My mother's a retired nurse. My sister's an X-ray. She's in radiology. So my mother had medical concerns, COVID, other after effects of COVID. So he was taking care of her. We were taking care of them. My cousin came in from Texas. He was here over the summer. And I helped my dad do a little bit of the fabrication, but he did essentially all of the fabrication of that dock. And he wanted to do it in a manner in which it would last, not just throw up a dock. And he got, financially, they got the some of the materials in kind or assisted with. You know, he helped someone else. I mean, the long and short of it is we're here because he didn't meet a deadline. It's a deadline that he was given an extension. We understand that we can say that, you know, we didn't meet that. I think most of the concern of the commission is, like Peter mentioned, was, you know, the waterway. This dock has been here for the existence of my life. Like, well, I apologize. The float's greater than 35 years. So to speak to sediment, building up over the last 10 years, I can't speak to that. I'm not a waterways person, but I feel as though maybe the likelihood of that being a 10-year event, okay, like that's likely not the concern that's expressed. It's like having if you have a dock, you're able to have a dock, you're able to put a boat on it, you're able to not put a boat on it. There is a boat in the yard, of which Mr. Riebel hasn't put out yet because he's been repairing the floats and repairing the pier and fabricating the pier. So he can't fix his boat in order to put that out on his dock because he can only do one thing at a multiple things at a time. So there is a boat. It's on the property line. All the neighbors have to do is turn their head and look down. It's covered in white. This isn't any different setup than it's been for quite some time. Again, we're both in healthcare. We had assistance. Our family will guarantee that we will provide assistance to help facilitate whatever process. Again, it's a well-established family in the town. We all went to school here. We all grew up here. We will support our elderly family members. And many of the items that are brought up regarding the spacing and what have you, they're not done with malintent, having an extra dock in a certain place. It may be supporting one because this has been a longer term project, so maybe a float needs an extra board on it because it has been taking a while. So we understand that this is a bit abnormal. I think we're asking for a little mercy from your commission. Financially, going back through a permitting process, I don't know what that entails, but I know that the initial one was quite a bit of finances, and so that when you're paying for permitting and all of those types of things, you're not paying for wood. You're fabricating wood. You're not paying for metal. You're fabricating metal because you're a CB and you know how to do it. So you do it versus buying it because financially you're paying your taxes to your town because your veterans benefit has been taken away. So you can either get the elderly benefit or the veteran benefit. So then you take that money and then you use it somewhere else. So again, we appreciate your time. We want to bring this to a solution. We want to finish the project. Unfortunately, like you said, you're not a pier builder. Neither am I, but my dad is, and he knows how to do it. And he's going to do it really well, actually, along with a lot of other things that he knows how to do really well on his yard. He knows that there's this portion that needs to get completed, and after that, we can take care of the floats, which seems to be a lot of the rubbing point with many people. Being good neighbors, as we always have been for many years in this town. So, good neighbors on the waterway. So we'd like to move this project along, and we'd like to support the family in doing that. And so whatever will help facilitate that financially, legally, and time-wise with the pending weather. So that's the thing. You know, we see little lines on a piece of paper, but you don't see when it's like 30 degrees out and literally the water is freezing. So we want to get this work done, and the tide half of it he couldn't do because you can only have so many hours of tide, that I was remiss. I had a picture of him working, laying on the floats. He had to take a float around and then bring it in between here, to take this little float, bring it in here, so that he could lay on top of, in between these two, in order to install this part, and then go in here, lay on this float, and then install that, and then you lose your tide. So it did take time. Again, too much time. So again, I appreciate your time. We would like to get this completed in whatever manner in which is most appropriate. And we'll, at this point, we won't miss another deadline, whatever's agreed upon. And you have the support of not only the homeowners, but the support of the surrounding people from the homeowners. And also being good neighbors. So.
Good,
Thank you.
I have a question for staff.
Yep.
We grant waivers. Can we grant a waiver on the 1 year?
Grant a waiver to,
Well, can we waive the regulation that says we can only extend once for 1 year? Can we do that?
That's written into the-
Like we can waive on a 35 or a 50?
that's
Do you
written.
know if we can?
I don't think that we can, that's.
Well, I just want
that's
to pose the question, because if
Yeah.
we're continuing, you could let me
Yeah,
know.
I'll look
Yeah.
into that, but as far as I know, it's a 1 year, one-time extension, and that's a hard cut written into our bylaws.
Is
Okay,
that
but
something
that's
we
a-
can revisit in the future?
Yeah, we could revisit that in our bylaws in the future, but the way that it's written right
Okay.
now,
Would you look into that? Because
Yeah.
that would be an easier solution
Yeah.
if we could do a waiver.
if we could waive the 1 year, one-time
And
extension.
then it would only be a year.
A year.
Okay.
Okay,
so,
looking for a continuance.
right, so if someone can make a motion, we will do
Are you
that.
still looking for a continuance?
Unless you got a negative determination in your pocket, I'd be looking for a continuance.
I'll make a motion that we continue the request for a determination of applicability for 7 Doty Ave, RDA file number, was it 202408? That's a motion. You're not going to be here for the next hearing, right?
No,
Well, you,
24th, we're not
your
going to be.
next one is the,
Oh, 24th, thank you.
You will be here on the 24th.
24th.
All right, the 24th. See if he's going to be here.
You good
yeah,
with that,
I'll be
Jake?
there on the 24th. I
I'll
just,
second the
yep.
motion.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Is all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that means we have 2 big things on the 24th. Okay, how are we on 50 Endicott Street?
Let me see what we can do here.
They leave?
All right, 1 second. Phil just asked me to give him a quick text when he's ready. Just bear with me 1 second.
Because you take a kayak.
Yeah.
This thing, they have 300 feet of floats all sitting on the mud. I want to get those off of the mud.
Not good.
But they weren't, I don't think they were going to go for a deal like that.
Well, can't we
She said we
issue an
couldn't.
order to make them remove those?
I think it was contingent on this whole project. I don't know.
So someone can leave floats in the mud forever?
No, it's like,
Okay.
Okay.
Until they have a new project.
7
yeah.
years to do a project? What if we gave everybody 7 years to do a project? We can't. It's
You
like,
know,
there's got to be some kind of leeway.
This way,
to
it's
do
taken
this.
them 4 years to get half of it done.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and they hammering at us like we're the bad guys.
Well, this is what I'm wondering.
It's 'cause
It's like
it's- 'cause
septic.
it's-
Th- Please remember the mics pick up, the mics are
Sorry,
still
I
live.
know.
No, that's okay, that's okay.
All right, no, you're right.
To do it yourself.
We need like a master mute button so that we can.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 1 second. I'm not sure why we're not able to connect with Phil here. Let me see.
Still waiting for Phil.
He's very close.
All right, I'm not sure what is going on here that we can't get him in.
Yeah, it's the one
I
we
mean,
skipped
this is-
over because we couldn't get
This
them.
is necessary.
All right.
But he doesn't do a big
Um,
article.
hmm, So I can't get Phil in here. He's asked if he can give me a call, if you want to do that.
You want to
Well,
go over to the next
But
day?
is there any, Mike is up to speed on this, so all members of the board know what the project
Project
entails.
is.
Yes, yep, all members of the board know what it entails.
We pretty much
I view
could-
this as necessary work. on the part of
Yes,
the
yes, it is necessary
My
work.
point is, we could vote on the, because there's 3 or 4 different waivers, and then vote on the
Yeah.
order of conditions.
I had one question for staff. I don't need to pose it to the applicant, but don't, we have a requirement that the plans be prepared by registered professionals, right?
Yes, so they reviewed that at the last
Why would
meeting.
we waive that?
They reviewed that at the last meeting. It has to do with safety and security reasons. If you would like, I can get Phil on the phone and just put him on speakerphone. You may be able to answer that. It's an option.
That was discussed at the last hearing,
It was.
why they were gonna do that.
So why was what was the answer?
It was because it's, I think that they said along the lines of like a government site, it was safety and security, protection of the
Something
site
that had to do
itself.
with federal security. It
Oh,
wasn't
oh,
us, it
okay.
was the federal
Oh, all right,
government.
because-
It was the
okay.
federal government requirement.
Yes, yeah.
I did hear him say that when
Yeah,
I
for
viewed
security,
this
yeah.
morning. And that was the reason for not using a registered
Correct.
professional?
Yeah,
Correct.
I'm okay with that, yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
That
why
was
don't
part of
I,
the security thing.
okay, I would feel more comfortable just on my end of things if I can at least get him on the phone so that he can hear us, if that's okay?
Sure.
Okay, all right, I can call him now. A little different, but it'll work.
We'll make it work.
Hi there, Phil, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, a little bit of an alternative, but I've got you on speakerphone so that the board can hear you,
Excellent.
and we can pick you up here. So,
Sure.
so board, if you have any questions for Phil, the applicant, I have
Is he
him.
there?
He is on
Yeah.
the phone.
Can he identify himself?
Sure. My name is Phil London with SWCA, Environmental Consultant.
All right, Mike Spillane on the Concom, can I ask a question, Pete?
Yes, go right ahead, Mike.
Yeah. Do you view this as necessary work?
Yeah, it is necessary work. It's what the project involves is, the equipment they're trying to install here so that they can remotely open and close the gas valves instead of having someone manually do it.
Does that increase the safety?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a safety issue.
Well, I think that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And it is utility, so they have different ways of looking at them
Yeah.
as far as the,
We need, if we vote
jurisdiction.
on this, we need to issue waivers, right?
oh, yes, a bunch.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other comment, questions? None? Okay, so the
Is this
first,
a public hearing?
yes, this was continued. So the first thing we have to do is close the public hearing. So someone can make a motion to that.
I'll make a motion. I make a motion to close the public hearing for 50 Endicott Street, DEP file number 14-1428.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, now just before we get into the waivers, this is all disturbed. It's no permanent structures or anything within the... Okay, so first motion is a motion to grant a waiver to allow work in the 35-foot no disturb zone. So if someone can make a
Yeah, I'll
motion.
make a motion that we grant a waiver to 50 Endicott Street, DEP file number 14-1428, to allow the applicant to work in the 35-foot no disturb zone.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll make a motion that we grant a waiver to the applicant for 50 Endicott Street, DEP file number 14-1428, to grant a waiver to allow work in the 50-foot no-build zone.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I'll make a motion that we grant a waiver to the applicant for 50 Endicott Street, DEP file number 14-1428, to grant a waiver to allow plans that were not prepared to allow them to submit plans that were not prepared by a registered professional engineer for reasons stated by the applicant in the previous hearing.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 50 Endicott Street, DEP file number 14-1428, with additional conditions as discussed and with our standard conditions.
I second.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now just a reminder that that order of conditions is good for 3 years, and you have to come back for, and apply for a 1-year extension, as we just discussed for the previous project. Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Sound good, Bill?
Yes, very good.
All right,
Thanks for putting up with us.
no problem. I'll give you a call tomorrow. We'll get everything squared away paperwork-wise, okay?
Great, sounds good.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Way to get it done, Emily.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right, almost there.
Do we have to approve? Yeah, a minute.
Okay, so we already, old and new business, we've already talked about the Rebecca Nurse restriction. The other is the minutes from July 11th and from July 24th of 2024. The minutes from July 11th were with
They
the
were-
airport hearing, and I just have to commend whoever did all that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, for sure.
That's why it took a little while to get them out. It was a long,
so-
long set.
Has everyone reviewed, and is everyone comfortable with the minutes?
Yeah.
And if yes, if we can make a motion, we will accept those minutes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from July 11th, 2024, and July 25th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and, that's all that we have, I think. Is there anything else, Emily, that we need?
Just a friendly reminder, the October 24th meeting is at the DCAT Studio, which is at 87 Elm Street.
You'll send
Okay.
out, will you
And you'll
send out
send
a
something out.
reminder?
Prior
Yes,
to
yep,
that.
I'll send out a reminder.
We'll just be,
So
we'll be
can
coming
you-
back from vacation.
Can you find out if we've ever, in this circumstance, granted a negative determination after giving it 1 year?
Yes.
And for something like that, and also whether or not we could issue a waiver on the requirement that we can only give 1 year?
Yep, absolutely. I'll look into both of those, no problem. Yep, I'll get the message to you.
Maybe that's something we'd want to work into.
In the future.
Right.
The only thing is though, would you ever cap that? It's like, how long should projects take? They could have conceivably have 7 years to get this
Yeah, they
project
could
done
have
and still
7
not be
years.
done.
And
Right.
then another year, actually 8 years,
Yeah,
because
and-
they could come in and get another year on the end of that.
I mean, at what point?
I mean, I understand he's doing it himself, maybe he likes doing it himself, but when she started saying, I was gonna ask for a bond, couldn't we have asked for a performance bond?
That thought crossed my mind, too.
If it didn't get done, we could get it, but it sounded like she was saying there were economic issues.
Yeah.
Because he's doing the work himself. So-
Yeah,
Right.
well.
Okay, if someone can make a motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
is there a second? All in favor?